Republic for which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay, approval of the agenda.
Mr. Chairman, I move we approve the agenda as presented for August 22nd, 2023.
We're going to amend it this evening. There is a third item that'll be added to this.
Third item.
Yes. Will be a third item, 2008 Dodge Caravan. So would you like to
Would
you like to redo that?
Agenda to add under new business item number 3, replacement for existing public works vehicle, a Dodge Caravan.
And do we have a second? Good. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, we're gonna wait till 6:05 for the public hearing. I'm gonna read announcements. The public participation policy applies to all selectmen meetings. A copy of it is on the back of each agenda posted in this meeting room and on our website. Notices the town clerk tax office will be closed on Thursday, September 21st, 2023 for the New Hampshire Tax Collectors Association 84th Annual Educational Conference. We have to wait about 3 minutes before we open the public hearing. So if you got something to read for 3 minutes, go ahead. This is when the clock stops. Mhm.
Brian, does this new layout?
Last meeting.
Yes. Limitation.
Yeah, we're almost there. We haven't finished yet because when the new table comes in, this big one. The seating is gonna go this way, facing the bottom of the stage. But yes, it does meet the requirements now that we have table and seats versus standing room. Or seating.
Another minute.
Just glance at the notes on it.
Yeah, that's what I was looking at all that, but that's the only one yeah.
Absolutely.
Stacy, we close enough? 1 minute. Yeah, this happens. I think all of us have had this happen. You gotta wait a couple minutes.
Thinking maybe we don't shorten that up a little bit next time.
Yeah, you can do that. Couple more seconds. Okay, at this time, we'll open it up to, it's 6:05 for the short-term rental. If you would like to come up, Jessica and Pedro. Good evening.
Good evening.
How you doing?
Good.
Good. So from the last time we were here, there was a few changes made.
Yes. So the changes that were made are in red. So in the application, That's what you guys had looked at
Mhm.
previously. So the two new documents are the checklist and the actual permit itself. So those were the two other items that you wanted prepared.
Mhm.
So I don't know if you want to go over the changes to the application first or how you want to move forward.
Changes to the application first, I think, if everyone is in agreement of that.
Okay, so there's one change on the first page that's not in red. In that we had crossed off the emergency contact.
Mhm.
I did talk to John a little bit about this before he left. He wasn't too involved with the process because he was on the way out to retirement. So he thought maybe just having the applicant information and the agent information
Mhm.
would be sufficient enough instead of having three
Right.
contacts. So I guess that would be, it made sense to me.
The owner and a
It's a little
manager.
less, right?
Mhm.
Right. And then if the manager is not available, then it's up to the owner
Mhm.
and or the manager to, have someone as a contact
That's the
person.
person, that's the contact person
Yep.
whenever they're not there.
Yep. So we did. So that's why that's taken off.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman. I wonder if we might want to introduce
Oh, that might help.
Jessica.
Yeah, well,
The audience,
yeah,
particularly
yeah.
Pedro, because he's new to us. And
Yeah,
we probably have people here
Please,
who don't know.
please
their
do,
role.
in your full names and,
Thank you, Mr. Shea.
yeah,
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
sorry about that.
So for the record, my name is Jessica Call. I am the town planner.
For the record, my name is Pedro Avila. I am the code official for the town.
Thank you both. I'm sorry I didn't have you. I'm used to you doing it automatically.
Yep.
Okay,
Okay, so that's it for page one. On page two, I had reached out to the fire department and got the answers regarding what type of fire extinguisher
Mhm.
and what type of inspections that normally come with, being in possession of a fire extinguisher.
okay.
So that sort of clarifies that.
That's a good question on that one.
Mhm.
When we say that it has to be inspected or evidence of inspection, it has to be performed by a third party. Is that some site certified?
So, yeah, they do have companies that will come out and inspect. I mean, we have that for the town as well.
Yeah, I'm
Mhm.
aware of their services.
Yep.
I just want,
Yep.
so we're gonna require individual people to.
That
contact
was,
Somebody every year to come out,
um,
look at their fire extinguisher.
that was a suggestion and recommended by the fire department.
Yeah, and that also being a 5-pound ABC.
Yep.
Extinguisher.
Yep.
And most, it's according to the fire department, do most fire extinguishers of this nature get inspected every year
That I don't have an answer for.
I think in the
I'm unsure.
in the industry or commercially?
OSHA will
Commercially.
ruin your parade if you don't, but commonly,
Mhm.
they're good for 10 or 12 years and then say this and then hear about a disaster, but almost nothing ever goes wrong with them, particularly if they're not in an adverse environment.
Right. Okay, thank you. Any other questions on that?
Okay, so you want to leave that as it is? To require an annual
This is,
inspection?
and this is their recommendation.
Mhm.
As
Correct.
well as a Knox box, as well as inspecting the smoke detectors. So would this be done at the same time?
Yeah, they
So-
would be out there, right?
So it wouldn't be
inspect-
it wouldn't be just the fire extinguisher. While they're there, they can inspect that as well as smoke detectors and.
Yeah, I don't think the town of Alton Fire Department is going to be the one inspecting individual fire extinguishers.
Yeah.
I don't think that was the intention.
I'm thinking if we do the permit process, we talked about that, the permit process being every year.
Mhm.
Or every 2 years. I don't see where the air conditioner, I mean, the fire extinguisher couldn't be every 2 years. But that's my opinion.
That was asked
Mhm.
and it was recommended to be annual.
It was recommended to be annual.
I think it's overkill, but,
Mhm.
and I also think that if our fire or code official are gonna go out there and look at the tag on the extinguisher to see that it's been inspected, the only other thing they gotta look at is the dial and
Right.
date, and they'll know this. I also wonder, we're not requiring third-party inspection of the CO2 fire alarms, which are probably more critical in residents.
Okay, Mr. Chair, may I address
Go ahead.
Mr.
Go
Richard?
ahead.
With regards to your comment about just looking at the dial, yes, it is, it can be as simple as that. However, per NFPA 70, which is the fire code, it is required that a certified professional review mechanism that are to prevent fires. So it has to be a certified professional doing it. And that's why I believe the input from the fire department, it is that it is certified by independent party every year.
So then
That's
we
why.
need to change this at the very least, not to a third party, but to a certified.
That will be within my purview as a code official to be able to know that the person that is doing the inspection is qualified to do it.
Okay, what would be the suggested language? A certified,
Shall be
what was it?
confirmed
I'm sorry.
Performed by a certified party instead of a third party.
Right.
Okay.
Certified party.
All right,
Yeah, instead of.
okay.
Okay.
Okay, so that's it for page 2.
Mhm.
So on page 3, number 16, it states that the permit is valid for 12 months. And it really should be 24 months. So for the 2 years, so the permit is good for 24 months,
24 months.
but there would be an annual inspection.
Okay. Okay.
So are we making that change under the 12 months to
Yep,
24?
24.
24 months. But still inspected annually.
Yep, and then that way that will, help alleviate some of the people,
Some of the
some
pressure.
of, the
That is
costs,
correct.
the cost
Yeah.
for property owners to have to pay for a permit
Right.
yearly.
Right. Okay, that's good.
That's that. And then 18, 19, and 20. So this was language that I received from town council.
Mhm.
So he, assisted with some of this along with the fire department.
911 posted numbers and the requirement of a knock box.
Should we call out a size, a minimum letter size for that?
Yes, it is actually, it is actually addressed under the building code. It has to be at least 3 inches letter size. But I believe that's why I'll be inspecting also annually on that because it's gonna be inspected under the purview of the IEBC, which is the International Existing Building Code. And it will address commercial and residential structures equally, and that will be part of it.
But if we put the size requirement here, then somebody doesn't find out when you show up to do your inspection.
That's one thing that I'm also working on. I'm preparing a lecture for town and for the Board of Selectmen. As of I believe it has to apply also for construction projects. I've been having a little time with getting properties correctly addressed on site and per code, every structure or area that is a structure is going to be erected shall be properly addressed with a minimum of a 3-inch size letter that is on a letter color that actually is you can thank you you can it can be visible from the street very much.
Thank you.
Okay, so then I would suggest adding, so that it reads, I understand that a 911 number, at least 3 inches in size.
I will put an
Yep.
input to reflect the building code there.
Mhm.
That way we have a direct reflection on the state adopted mandated code.
You want to put in a regulation,
Yeah.
regulation
It,
code?
it will be better because it's the code.
Okay. in
Because it
case
is code.
changes.
Yeah. Mm.
Okay. Okay, so I will make a note to insert.
3-inch letters.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Then there's, the Knox box.
Mhm.
And the fire department also wanted to see some type of, fire escape route. So that's in number 20.
Okay, and I see that, and that's just something that would be posted onto the wall. Is there a size on that? That has to be?
He
or-
didn't
indicate.
specify a size.
Mhm.
Next to the emergency services, contact information and or in the sleeping areas. So at least is
Okay,
an area. Nothing changed in section G.
Mhm.
Everything else is the same except in I just clarified the section numbers.
Okay. I see that. The inspection checklist, if you're ready to go there,
So that's it for that.
that's the same. You added on in the red lettering as to what we just discussed.
Yep. And then I took all of sort of the items that needed to take place and just
Mhm.
threw them on a separate checklist to be used by both fire and code. And I believe I captured everything on that.
And then on the permit on the second page, on the first page of 2. At the end, if approved, this permit will be valid for 12 months.
Yep, that's the other section to
Mhm.
change to
Change
24.
that to 24.
Yep, I didn't want the permit to be too clustered and congested. I just, put the pertinent information that needed to be captured on the permit. And town council definitely recommended to put these next sections like the enforcement revocation
Okay.
right with the permit, so that way it gets just redistributed back to the property owner, so they have that in hand.
Mhm.
Quick question, if I could just
Yeah.
number 5 on page 2. We talk about filtering water from the lake.
It-
Obviously refers to Lake Winnipesaukee. Do we have any other
Is this on the,
source town that someone might draw?
is that the application?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
yes, yeah. But I know we've got other smaller lakes and ponds and stuff around.
That's a good question.
There is, there would be other bodies of water that they could be drawn off for a short term in between Sunset Lake.
Mhm.
Hills Pond, then half of them, and Crescent Lake. All have. Well, probably likely have short-term rentals on, so.
Okay, so we could reword this to,
Which section are we looking at again?
so this is on the application, section F, number 5.
Number 5,
Probably just, so.
probably doesn't have supplied filters on lake first.
So if we just took out and filters water from the lake, so if the property does not have an on-site water supplied by the town,
Mhm.
I understand it is my responsibility to close.
Yes.
So if we just take out
Take out from the lake,
because where else are you getting your water from? If you're not getting it from the town, you're getting it from somewhere.
right? Well, you'd be getting it from the lake or from a well.
Yeah,
or-
or from a pond.
It
you
could be
know?
a well.
Yeah.
So we still have to say, maybe bodies of, large
Right.
bodies of water or lakes,
That would be their on-site water supply would be a well.
From a natural.
natural lake or lakes,
Natural source.
plural.
Why
Lakes
wouldn't
and
you?
ponds. Or no,
Just say-
just say alternative,
Source.
so alternative. source.
Alternative source.
Yeah, that would cover anything. If you change the language and just said that and filters water from an alternative source. That would cover any other source besides an on-site supply.
Yes.
Mhm.
That was just a suggestion.
Yep.
Yeah, that, or like I said, making lake instead of lakes plural.
But then it could be a pond.
Yeah.
Just saying, just.
Yeah.
So I think, yeah,
Alternative is good.
alternative sources. Is that what we came up with?
Say it again.
Alternative sources.
Alternative sources. And
Okay, that sounds good.
I actually have to make a correction with regards to the address. And like I said, per building code, section 319.1 refers to address identification.
Mhm.
And it reads that all buildings and site work shall be properly addressed. And then for the details of the address, it says address shall be not spelled out. Each character shall be no less than 4 inches, not 3. Yeah. In height with a stroke width of no more than ½ inch. Where required by the fire code official, address identification shall be provided in additional approved locations to facilitate emergency responses.
What was that code number? 319.1?
Section 319.1.
1.1. Okay.
And legal counsel said page 2 of 2 on the enforcement A, B, and C. That's important that stays there.
Yes.
So that's, I think
Yep.
that's good.
Yeah, I thought it was a good idea.
Yes. Yeah, having the enforcement definitely.
And just to confirm that we're still going with January 1st, 2024 for the date to have applied for a permit.
Okay.
Okay, just confirming that.
Okay. Okay.
There's one other thing on the application. And within the ordinance, it requires people that if they're going to have a short-term rental that's not on a state or town maintained road, they have to obtain that waiver of liability. Like you would normally do if you're trying to obtain a building permit on a class 5 or private road. So I did talk to town council about our existing forms. And he suggests that we should come up with specific to short-term rental. So to tweak some of the language, he did offer to help assist and actually write up the forms for us
For
to
that,
kind
for
of,
that particular.
for this specific
subject.
one. So I guess that's a question to you guys, if you didn't mind if I reach back out to him and said, sure, if you can assist with some of the language, just because it's a extra cost, I guess, that I
Be an additional fee.
we would normally do it in-house, but some of that legal language, I think would be best if he just assisted with
Well, I think that's
some of
important
those forms.
to have legal counsel actually go through it and actually make up a sentence that's proper for that. I don't know what the additional fee would be for that.
Well, it's just, I mean, it'd just be additional because it's hourly work.
Right.
So it would be minor.
Just wanted to pass it by you guys before I went ahead and
He
said
was
yes.
talking about hiring, he's talking about using specialty counsel for it.
No,
I don't think so.
no,
Like he
because
was-
we already have that all written out. He just needs to tweak some of the different
think that's-
sections
Yeah.
in the
I think it should
existing
be done.
forms. So it's not like
And-
recreating the whole wheel.
if you want to have a general consensus of the board, I say yes.
Seems like a reasonable thing to do.
Thank you.
Definitely.
All right.
Okay,
And that's all I have.
that's about
As
it.
far as, yep.
I think it looks pretty good.
Yeah, it's coming.
I think we have it.
And we're gonna give copies of the permit once it's complete to police department and the fire department, so that way we can collaborate and ensure that if they're getting calls and their violations
Hey,
against
guys.
some of these
Yeah,
regs,
Keep it down. Hey,
that
excuse me, can you please keep it down? They're trying to talk.
we're able to, capture things properly.
Sure. Sure, that's good.
And all of these records will reside with planning or with.
With the building department. So
Great.
I've been working on a lot of this just because of the transition between John and Pedro. It ended up on my lap, which is fine. But it's gonna transition over to his department.
Yes, I'm here
after
for
this.
moral support, actually.
It's been
Yeah.
a long process. This has been a long process and a tedious.
Complex subject.
Yeah.
So I think this has been a long time coming and I think it's done right. I think it looks good. And it should help.
I think so. Do you have anything else to add or questions or anything or?
Actually,
Okay.
that was it and everything is laid out. So.
Yep. Perfect.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you
Great,
very
guys.
much.
Thanks, Pedro. Thanks.
Thank you
Alright.
both.
Thank you.
Do you want us to hang here throughout any?
Yeah. If
Any,
you'd like
like,
to,
public
I'd
input or-
prefer to have you stay there if there's anything. Then if you has a question.
I'm more than happy to hang out for a little longer. if you should.
So if
Okay.
anyone would like to speak on this matter, come up and introduce yourself. Come on up. The chair right over here. Introduce yourself and
Scott
your
Bloomworth.
area.
Scott Bloomworth from Spring Haven Village up on Route 11. We own the RV park up on Route 11. On this past weekend, the house at 7 Acorn got sold this spring. And it's become an Airbnb. Friday night, there was a bunch of people there. I didn't know this. I was sleeping, but my tenants told me that there was noise till 4 AM. Then on Saturday, there were 12 cars in 7 Acorn. 37 people were in that house. We have a small beach. We have a small beach rights. It's a 30-foot beach that the Spring Haven community has rights to. All 37 people were at that beach. So none of my tenants, none of my neighbors could use the beach. They had 3 boom boxes down there blasting. They had a jet ski. I have no idea how they got it in the water. They were blasting in and out. They had all kinds of food, grills and everything down there, and they were there all day. Then they were noisy all night. Sunday, there were 8 cars there and 25 people down the beach again. That house can't be zoned for 37 people. So what do we do? How do we resolve this? How do we address it? Who do I?
Well, that's
call?
where this will come in. This will come in because in order for them to do that after January, after this year, they will have to get a permit. And they'll have to disclose how many bedrooms they have. That'll determine how many people
Right.
they'll be able to have in that building.
Yep.
By bedrooms and septic systems. So there's gonna be a lot of things. So this is where this is gonna correct this. And they're gonna have to have explanation of parking, how much parking they have for each bedroom. So this is where this is gonna step in.
So in the interim, if they rent it out and these people come back, do I have anything? How can what do I do? Call the police or?
Call police department.
And they were lighting off fireworks till like late at night also, so
Those are all ordinance violations.
there's
Mhm.
no
Summer state.
discharge of any fireworks. Correct?
Correct.
So as soon as I hear them going off, if I call PD,
Yes,
okay,
that's correct.
Great.
All right.
we will get this resolved because it's ridiculous what's going
Yeah.
on.
You
Thank
can
you.
also get a copy of the noise ordinance from the police department or online.
Yeah.
The noise ordinance will also give you governing rules and regulations on how late And
Yeah, what is quiet time in Alton, do you know? 10?
it depends on what day it is. and it
Area.
Depends on what activity too. So take a look at the ordinance because it breaks
Okay.
it all down.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Come on up. Good evening.
Good evening. I'm Vince Bober and I have a few questions regarding what Jessica just went over. Number one is $150 fee. Can we really send somebody from the fire department or the code enforcement out twice for $150? That's my understanding is it's inspected every year. That's $75 a time. And I don't think you can do that. And I guess I object to my tax dollars being spent on somebody else's business. So there was another thing on the application for short-term rental permit. Under D, they talk about single-family dwelling unit for rent and single-family dwelling with an accessory. What about I have a place next to me that's got a whole bunch of cottages. And I don't know how many there are. I never counted them. Maybe 8 of them. Does each one of those have an inspection fee that goes with it? I mean, that a group of cottages like that is not addressed under item D.
No, it isn't.
It's not.
I'm sure there must be more of those in town than just the one I'm referring to. The other thing, on the number of guests, how many unregistered guests are allowed on the property? This gentleman that just spoke here, I think, had that problem. And I have seen that. So if you say you got 3 bedrooms, so that allows you 2, 4, 6 plus two more, so it's 8, 8 people. Now, how many unregistered guests can you have on that property?
They shouldn't be staying overnight.
No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the party that goes on all day. You know, how many people can you have on that property? I think there needs to be some sort of a limit on that. You know, somebody decides they're gonna have a big birthday bash and boy, they have all their friends come in. You know what that's all about. So I think that needs to be addressed. The other thing is non-registered guests, how late can they remain on the property? You know, this is the number of unregistered guests all ties into the sewer system, you know, and the septic systems and everything else. So there's a lot to be considered on that aspect of it.
We tie into the special events permit requirement because under the regulations for the special events permit. Isn't that 50 plus, I believe? I'll have to look into that, but I believe the town has a special events permit requirement. And that has a number of occupants anticipated. I think it's over 50, but we might be able to look at tying those two together.
Right.
Possibly.
And I do know, you know, there are a handful of different companies that oversee short-term rentals. And I know specifically Airbnb does not allow for the renters to have parties.
No, they don't.
But still,
It's specific within their own regulations, and they encourage people to, you know, let them know so that they're not having people that aren't, you know, abiding by, you know, their sort of morals and values of how they want to run their business.
Well, not to mention this particular situation, if someone's going to get check marks against them, they're going to have fines to pay. If they're being loud, if they're being obnoxious, if they're parking in different areas, that there are only going to be so many parking spaces at these places. So I think there's going to be a violation there if
Right.
people have too many people there. So that'll automatically give them a check mark against them. And that's something they're not going to want to do too many times because they could get revocation.
And not lose their permitting.
Right. So it's all part of their permitting process. So this is going to be something that's going to go in the works. This is just starting. There's
Right.
going to be some growing pains here. There's going to be a few things, and there's going to be a few things in any ordinance or any law that's going to take a little time to make sure all areas are covered.
Well, I feel that there should be some sort of a limit on non-registered guests.
Mhm.
And then at some point you apply for a permit, and I'm assuming that under most circumstances, that would be
Right.
shut down.
Sure.
What's gonna happen is eventually most of these people anyway are gonna, down the road, you're gonna see $1,000 fine and they're just gonna work it into the bill. Pay the fine. So I think we gotta look into something else.
I think,
Well,
As when you're
if
paying
they pay-
$6,000 to rent a house for a week, what's another $1,000 pay for?
but if they,
I think we gotta look into some other stuff.
if they have to pay a thousand, that means they've already paid a few other ones. If they pay a third, and if they're gonna get into that $1,000 and it still becomes a problem, then they're gonna lose it. They won't be able to redo their permit.
See,
period.
that should, I
Period.
think that should.
And it
be-
doesn't say it in here. We should say that.
That should say in here, if you're, if after your fourth or fifth offense, you're done.
Yeah, exactly. You lose your privilege.
So under,
Yes.
under the section revocation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It does state 3 incidents within a rolling year period.
Right.
That your permit can be revoked for a year. So
Mhm.
they're losing out for an entire year.
Yeah.
Right.
And that, I
And
think,
it does say that.
You know, that's gonna.
but under it, it should
that's-
probably go under enforcement, that way people are. Because like I said, eventually, once this goes in and gets into motion, you're gonna start seeing people say, well.
The other,
we're gonna pay the $1,000
yeah, and
now,
the other thing is that the time that the violation occur might not be town working hours. So we will actually need to relay through the police department
Mhm.
these items.
Right, which is why they get copies of the permits, so
Yep.
they'll know who's who. If they don't have a permit, I haven't quite figured out how they're gonna know.
Mhm.
If they're a short-term rental or not, if they haven't submitted a permit yet, that's gonna,
Let's probably try to make up some sort of master list that we update.
somehow, right,
It's gonna have to be, updated each year. Yeah.
correct, yep.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Vince. Anyone else? Anybody else like to come up? Okay.
Did you want to discuss the fee at all? Did he mention about the fee?
My name's Ben Bassett. Just a quick question. You mentioned the occupancy limits were posted. The occupancy limits are determined by the number of bedrooms, so it's 2 people per bedroom plus 2. Is that?
Correct.
And where's that?
It's in here.
It's in,
It's in this. I don't know exactly which page. But it
So
is in
it's in, it's in the application under section F, it's number 7.
thank you.
Thank you. Did you wanna go over at all the actual fees for the permit?
So
Did we?
we had determined the $150 fee,
Mhm.
which, you know, wouldn't just include paying for, you know, code and fire to go out for inspections. It's also includes, you know, administration.
Right.
Processing, you know, things like that.
That was mentioned, so I just thought I'd bring that up.
Yep.
Okay.
And we didn't want to charge too much.
Mhm.
But we kind of wanted to charge enough to be
Right.
able to cover.
And these, the offenses, being the first offense, a written warning
Under enforcement,
under enforcement. If we go to A, under enforcement. First offense is a written warning. The second offense, for, after allowing 10 days of registration, to come into compliance, since receipt of the notice is $100 of the offense.
yep, and this came from town council,
Mhm.
just so you know.
And this was town count. That's what I wanted to ask.
That's
Yeah.
that's because we did have some different language
Mhm.
originally, and then when I sent that to him,
Mhm.
he
Third
came back
offense
with
being
that.
500 and then the final, it being 1,000
Mhm.
Believe that 1,000 is for every 10 days, right?
It's
for every
right,
10 days.
right.
So it's
Yeah.
for every 10 days thereafter.
yep.
Right.
Right, and then after that, you know, that third
Mhm.
offense, you're getting your
That's it.
permits being
It's
revoked.
being revoked.
for a
And the
year.
only way they can get that back is if they come to the
They
selectmen.
could appeal.
They could
right?
appeal.
Yep,
They could appeal it.
to you.
Yeah.
Yep. And that's written in here, under revocation. tells
Okay.
people what they recourse.
No, I think it looks pretty good.
Does the average citizen have any difficulty in determining what zone they're in? Is it called out on the tax map or on your tax bill or?
I don't know if it's on the tax bill. But it's on the tax cards. It's on the tax card.
I can actually point out to a good resource. The town actually has a GIS.
Yeah. the
GIS.
And through
system.
GIS, you can not only get what zoning district you're located in, you can actually get information with regards to your existing lot. You can get proper dimension, you can get things that can help any town resident or applicant or person that enjoys town's benefit with regards to whatever they want to do within a certain parcel.
And is that easy for the average person to access?
It's as simple as Alton NHGIS, and it will populate on Google.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, any other questions? No? I think it looks pretty good. I think it's been tweaked again, and I think it's
It
pretty
sure
good.
has.
All right, thank you very much, both.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, guys. Thank you.
Do you-
Okay,
Do you have a game plan on you guys gonna, like, what are you gonna do from here? Are you gonna discuss it some more?
we'll discuss it a little bit more, and we'll also would like to hear from you when you have the legal counsel write up that last paragraph, if you will, or anything like that, and then a final that we can look at. That's it.
What was the last paragraph?
Not not the last paragraph, but the paragraph that you were discussing for
Oh, for the
road.
short-term rental.
Yes.
The waivers.
Yep,
Okay,
that he is going to help you with,
yep, okay.
he or she.
So I will reach out to them
Yep.
and as soon as I get that back, I'll
And-
let Ryan know and then.
Yeah, if we put just a final packet together.
Yep.
Without the.
And that'll be it.
Without the draft, without any of the red, put everything in a clean copy together and we'll just put it on the agenda
And
and
that's it.
board can take it once over and make a decision from there, a formal vote, if that's
Okay.
okay.
I think.
Yep.
I think that's
Good.
a step in the right direction, as long as we have everything and we're done with changing things. A final draft, and that's it.
Okay, perfect. Sounds good.
Thanks, guys.
Okay,
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you very much.
Good night.
Thank you.
You as well.
Okay, this concludes our public hearing for short-term rentals and at, what is it, 6:42.
See you guys.
We still have a public input on any of the agenda items only. If anybody would like to speak on the agenda items this evening. Seeing none, we'll go right to appointments. David and Jean Clem, Route 11D drainage.
Before we say anything, I wanted to compliment the board on hiring Scott Penman, the Director of Public Works. He's really done a yeoman's job and all the mess that we've had to deal with. And,
Thank you.
he certainly has done things that we tried to get done over about 6 or 7 years. He's taken care of them. So my compliments to you guys.
Thank
He's also one of the reasons why I'm here. And given the time I have, we just figured I'd pass this out and let you look at it.
Okay, we'll let you both sit and we'll introduce yourselves and to the board.
Fine. I'm David Clem, my wife Jean. And we live on 94 Route 11D. If you've ever been by the Bayside Inn, we're right next door.
Okay.
And we're right on the water. And the property that we're at is the issue we're dealing with. There's in 1950, I guess the state built a pipe under 11D. There's 2 places where they have water that accesses 11D into the lake. And they put in a design that was not meant for what exists now with all the 4-lane highway that basically exists on 11 and the number of homes that were built after that effect that are above 11D. So we're getting water runoff from Route 11, we're getting it from 11D, and we're getting it from all the homes that are in that area. And it flows into a ditch that ultimately goes under the 11D through our property out into the lake. We bought the property after the house that was there got torn down. We bought a foundation. There was a lot of things that were done with the state to be able to get approval and the town before we bought it. And then we built on top of the foundation, a new home. And that was again, all approved by the state and the town. And what existed on the property before we tore everything out was a 12-inch pipe and an 8-inch pipe to be able to take all the water off the road with the 18-inch pipe. So that was torn out based on the discussions with the state and town, and put in a 18-inch drain that went under the property. The problem that we're dealing with, however, is that water was still coming off the roadway, and we ended up putting in a French drain and ran it to a swell on one side of the house. And last year we did all sorts of rock drainage to try and see if we could stop things from going by. The highway department came in and put in a strip of wood along the top of the property to stop some of the water from coming out the roadway and drive it into the drainage area. And this year, with all the rains that were coming down, we were basically dealing with what looked like a fire hose. The water was coming through that 8-inch pipe. It's almost knock you over. And so that was a huge problem. It ended up destroying a lot of our property. We ended up spending about $6,000 just to be able to repair what's been done so far. We still got work to do. We're currently paying about $20,000 in property taxes. We've had an opportunity to meet with a couple of engineers recently. And so they gave us some ideas of things that could be done. And so the biggest problem was when this thing was designed in 1950 or whatever, when they designed the pipe area, it's too small, and it really should have been a 24 or 36-inch pipe rather than an 18-inch pipe. So that was one of the things that possibly could be done. We'd be happy to help you to do some remuneration for us being the drainage system for 11D, or to help us compensate for building some kind of a rock wall or something to try and stop the water that's coming out as strong as it is if the 18-inch thing stays there. Another idea that came up today was, and simplistically, if you think about a series of, I'm going to call it some dry wells along the roadway to be able to capture some of the water, and then they'll let the rest of it continue to flow through, seemed to be more in line with the kind of thinking that the state has of trying to stop water from actually going into the lake. So anyway, that's sort of where we're at. I don't know whether we sent some photographs at one point. I don't know where any of that got to or not, but yeah, it was.
And the water that runs, well, this was an unusual rain, obviously, but the water that comes down is filthy. This isn't pure, clean water that goes into the lake. It's brown. It's coming down from roofs and driveways and off the roadway. And it's ugly water. The lake was brown for almost a day.
Well, anyway,
so there has to be a better way to handle the lake and to handle the rain than to dump all of this stuff into an 18-inch pipe and then just dump it on our yard. And we tried to mitigate it. We had somebody out today. You may know him, Russ Simple. And we're talking with him on what we can do. But we're a little overwhelmed by the cost of all this. We're a little overwhelmed by the fact that this seems to be, well, that's okay, it's your problem. But it's not our water. It's water from 4 lanes of asphalt on 11. And then it's all the water off the road that's canted down to this. And then building permits have been given to properties with no accountability for their own water. And they have huge roofs and very big, long driveways. And all of that feeds down into that same little culvert. And it all goes one place from 2 directions. And then it comes through this 18-inch pipe.
How long have you been at this property?
Since
we built the property in
2014 to 2015.
And we've lived there since 2015.
I
But
think
there was a house on the property before.
Mhm.
And what we bought was a foundation which was capped because after the housing collapse, Steve Rogers from the Bayside Inn was building it and he capped it. But he had done all this work, got all the permits, and everything was approved. So I would think that approval would mean that you would be at least halfway to what would normally be happening.
How many times has this happened?
Well, it happens almost every spring, a couple of times, and depending on how much snow and how much rain.
Mhm.
But when we have traditional amounts of snow and a decent amount of rain, it floods my pervious driveway. I used to put sand on 11D. We no longer apparently put sand there, but that would drive enough sand. We wouldn't pay our plower to put sand on our driveway because of this pad that has to be kept free. And but comes the spring, we would be inundated with sand off the road. Well, we still get inundated with the sand because all of the people on the other side, on the high side, which have really challenging driveways, sand theirs, that all goes down into that culvert, which all goes down and then eventually comes through this 18-inch pipe. And then as soon as it floods, it just goes all the way over onto and I mean, we could shovel the sand sometimes. It's so much. But now that I think that the town is no longer sanding,
that's
it's
helping.
probably more manageable. But we're older people. And it was a tragedy for us to be out there trying to move things out of our garage to stem the flow of the water that was going into our basement. And it's not our water. I'm more than happy to take care of our water. We've even been taking care of your water because we've put in French drain systems. We've moved water down this way, but it's not enough to handle what comes out now.
And you have talked to the state?
We haven't talked to the state.
You haven't?
Well, Scott told us to call someone at the state. And they, so 2 weeks ago, I called them. They said, and next couple of days, you'll hear from them.
Mhm.
So we're now several weeks into the state getting back to us, but I'm sure they're, we're a small problem.
Right.
They got a lot of big problems that they're dealing with. So,
course.
we may or may not ever hear from them,
But we got water in our basement. My husband was downstairs moving. Thank goodness we don't use cardboard, moving bins and trying to mop up. While I was dragging things out of the garage and trying to get the water to keep going this way so it wouldn't come into the garage. And we're in our late 70s. We plan to have stayed up here for a good long while, but honestly, the roadblock on this property, if this is going to happen 2 times a year, and then I don't know, when talking to Russ today, he said, my property flooded 2 times this year. Maybe this isn't that unusual.
Well, we know that we're having larger and more events, water events and large storms with large volumes of water coming all at once, which makes it almost impossible for water to displace itself fast enough. It ends up filling up a lot of the culverts in a lot of areas and it's spilling over. And
that was one of the reasons why, Russ was suggesting, I mean, I know one of the things that you've done on some of the roads, like the one that goes up to the dump is put in rocks and things and, along the side. Well, we just got dirt.
Sure.
And that's why Russ was suggesting, maybe building in a series of French drains or whatever.
We're at our 10-minute mark for your hearing. We appreciate it very much and the information you brought us.
Thank you.
And we thank you. Thank you. Okay, appointments also, Dustin Fortier, stop sign removal request. Thank you.
So we'll hear from you on some side you want to.
Yes,
Thanks. Appreciate it.
thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening.
here also to pass around.
Thank you, Stacy, for keeping track of the time.
Evening, Dustin Fortier, 826 Stockbridge Corner Road.
Good evening.
Done a little homework here and just looked into the whole installation of the stop sign situation here. And I believe I asked last time, but I was just checking to see if there was any traffic study performed by engineers to determine stop signs. I reached out and spoke to Michael O'Donnell, Chief of the Traffic Engineering for the New Hampshire DOT Bureau of Traffic. And these are the guidelines for installing stop signs.
So that's the same as what we have in our folders.
More or less, yeah. This just has some highlighted asterisks here where all the factors and says like signs should not be used for speed control, should not be installed on the higher volume roadway unless justified by an engineer, which is situation here. Another one here that's in highlighter. Multi-way control should be based on an engineering study. And also the amount of vehicles is 300 vehicles per hour. Which I think he told me an example, it ended up being about 6,000 vehicles a day. And for example, the two marinas in Alton Bay, there's approximately 11,000 through there in a day. So I don't think that really hits the 6,000 mark on Stockbridge. But there was one other thing here also. More than one stop sign or more than one yield sign shall not be placed on the same support facing in the same direction, which is also the case there. But yeah, it's I also have some sound bites here. I'd be more than happy to play for you just to try to give you an idea of the frustration that what I deal with on a regular basis from everybody hot rodding out of the stop sign, whether it's a loud car, motorcycle, loud truck. Everybody's a hot shot when they leave the stop sign, no matter who it is, really. We've been there 12 years and it's ridiculous. I honestly don't even want to live there anymore. And most people are confused, you know, they'll stop at both of them. They'll stop at the one and then go to the next one. It's also a false sense of security for some people. I was just told yesterday by a customer that I met that said he was coming out of the Stockbridge side, gave them the benefit of the doubt. They stopped and he went and almost got T-boned. And one of the other videos I have is another near miss the other day. They were going left. And I mean, it of course doesn't help either that the lines were like curved around the road heading towards, you know, the double lines are kind of headed towards Stockbridge, which reminds me when I talked to Mike, he mentioned, he's like, yeah, I don't think it should have been a stop sign. He said maybe a turning ahead sign to warn you up ahead that it's going to be people turning left there when you're coming around that corner. But yeah, it's, you know, waking up at 3:30 to the first loud truck in the morning. It's kind of tough to wake up in a good mood when that happens. But no, if you'd like, I would be more than happy to show you any videos from loud
I
vehicles.
don't think we have time for the videos, but
Oh, they're quick.
I mean, you can play a couple, I guess.
All right, sure.
These are sounds of taking off. and
I have a
stopping.
Nest camera, yeah. I'm really right in the thick of it right there. No. People, you know, they got to get back up to the 50 miles an hour they were doing there. So I can only imagine how bike week would be. That's all we hear, yeah. Once again, Harleys. Like I said, it really doesn't matter what it is, a dump truck that hits 13 gears before he goes by the driveway. But yeah, I think you get the idea. And bedrooms, of course, I didn't design the house, but the bedrooms are literally right there on the roadside. So that's going by the window every day.
Okay.
Really see what else I have outlined here, but And I know they mentioned that, you know, we wanted you guys to do something, but it certainly wasn't asking for a quarter mile drag strip in front of the house or two stop signs. I spoke to a couple neighbors and a couple of them mentioned, you know, still just a yield sign because it always was a yield sign before, which they understand that. But the stop sign, I haven't heard many people say anything good. And the two people that probably have, they don't live anywhere near it. I know you mentioned there was a couple people that liked it, and of course, find out they live down in Kentlock Circle somewhere, so they're obviously not in the thick of it like myself. But yeah, more or less, that's just what I have to go off here.
Okay.
Really hoping that there can be something done here with getting that out of there. And I mean, I come around the corner and I really don't think it's much you're coming around the corner, you can see for a country mile if you're doing the speed limit. I mean, if you're doing 70, you might have a problem with somebody turning left there, but if you're doing 30 like you're supposed to, you can see for a mile. And that's another thing somebody else told me that I never even thought of. They hate it when they pull up to the stop sign and now you got a mile of cars coming from 28. You're just sitting there. You don't know if anybody's turning. Are they turning? Are they not turning? So that's an outlook I never even realized because I'm usually not coming from that way. But yeah, I guess that's really all I have here
Okay.
for you guys.
We thank you very much. You got some added information here for us.
Yep.
Do you have other neighbors or people that want to speak on the same note?
I believe there's one person here. I tried to get a couple others and one of them's older and have trouble with the stairs.
Have them come up. Oh, yeah, we got a few more minutes
Yeah.
left.
Wanted to give them the opportunity. So I figured there were some people in the audience that might want to speak.
Appreciate it. We have them come up
Yeah,
separately.
yeah, we got a little bit of time left.
All right. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
If someone would like to speak, come on up. We have a few minutes left on this subject matter.
My name is Tamara Fortier. I also live at 826 Stockbridge Corner Road. And this has been a nightmare. My children who are 8 and 10, getting up at 3:30 is not feasible. I have to work early. I don't want to wake up any earlier. I think the suggestion about a year ago, I wasn't here, was at work. My husband came and it was about no through trucks. I do know that like the tractor trailers coming through. I mean, the Jake brakes are always really annoying, but now them having to stop and then shift through 13 gears is even more annoying. I think a lot of them use our road so they can avoid DOT at the circle, which is also not okay. Our road isn't that wide. I don't think tractor trailers should be going through traffic on our road. They should be going around to the circle. Yeah, it's the stop sign is ridiculous. We still see people screeching and almost hitting each other. Everyone I talk to says it's ridiculous. It is ridiculous. A lot of people still don't stop. And I just don't think that we should have to pay for people not realizing that when you cross a road, you have to look. You don't just go and expect people to stop for you. So yeah, it's pretty annoying. And we'd like it to go.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks. Anyone else?
You know,
Good evening.
How you doing? My name is Frank Burkowski. I live on 817 Stockbridge, just down from that corner on the straightaway there. I'm using that stop sign as a go point, like it's a drag strip to that first corner. I don't know if you gentlemen know Stockbridge that well, but from that corner to that first bad bend is about 1/8 of a mile. And it doesn't make a difference if it's a car, a bike or whatever. But that's their drag strip now. And like we brought to the attention of the trucks, the shifting, the upshifting, it's just noise pollution for a country road is just totally unacceptable. I think the speed sign that they put up, that's doing some good. I think that's helping. So I think it's an issue, but that's a major safety issue, I believe, at that four corners now. That was brought to the attention there. If you're coming, I guess that would be what? going toward New Durham, if you're coming that direction, if you're coming at the stop sign and you're stopped, if somebody doesn't turn their blinker on, I don't trust it. If they get the blinker on or not, because you don't know. If you come on that stop sign and they don't have their blinker on, it's going to be a head on. It's simple as that. Luckily, nobody's going that fast at that point, but it's still going to be a head on. So
Okay,
I just was hoping something could be done
thank you.
going forward.
Okay, very good. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. We'll go right into new business. Going up, number one, up to 4% merit increase for 2024 budget.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, so what this proposal is that, we're at budget time right now. The board, the department heads are scheduling to meet in 2 weeks or about a week and a half with me to start the budget process. And this is just to give them guidance moving forward. Usually we set a merit increase every year. It's usually ranging between 3% and 4%. I know of course, we recently did the 10% cost of living increase, which would, during that discussion, we discussed that we were not going to do any additional COLA moving into 2024. But the merit increase obviously would allow us to, one, reward good work performance through the evaluation process, which is what we normally do. Plus, it also allows us to keep it moving. I mean, we made the decision to move forward with the 10% because we felt like we had fallen behind. And taking that without any merit increase going into 2024, I feel would bring us back. Well, I shouldn't say bring us back all the way, but it would still be a half step instead of a step forward like we're supposed to. Try to continue with. And again, this would be merit only.
Right, because
Yeah, I don't see a problem with that. It's merit.
Do we have a policy for merit increases, how they're judged?
No, for merit increases, yes. The town-wide, we have evaluation forms that all departments use, standardized evaluation forms that have standardized categories as they go through. And we have one for employees, and then we also have one at a supervisory level so that we can evaluate first line, midline, and administrative supervisors. So, but that standard form is used, and based on that scoring form, if you score on certain eval forms, it's like, the range is like 0 to 20 is no merit increase because that's a needs improvement evaluation. And then from 20 to 30 is like a half a merit because it's basically a borderline needs improvement, but meeting expectations in certain areas. And then the 30 to 40 range is where everything is meeting expectations and above. Excelling in certain areas or performance of that. So everybody is using that standardized form for their departments, but of course they have to base the categories off of what their job description is, obviously.
Sure.
Yeah. Excuse me.
I've always found that merit increases are a very touchy subject. And I've seen situations where they're automatic unless you're horrible. And I've seen other situations where they are applied based on an individual that does a perfectly normal, good job, doesn't get a merit increase. In order to qualify for one, you have to have done an extraordinary job above and beyond what's expected in such areas as creativity or extra effort or helping out other employees, that type of thing. And I guess I'm just wary of getting into a situation, and we may not be in this at all. I have no idea, but I've seen times when everybody gets the merit. It just turns out like something that's expected rather than a reward, and it's a penalty if you don't get it. The best system I've seen, although the most difficult to administer, created a merit budget for each, well, in this case, it wasn't a department, it was a division, but, and then the supervisors in that division within a range of percentages were allowed to make the call on who got what. And they know their people best. And while I'm sure sometimes there's some favoritism,
That's,
that gave a
much.
lot of flexibility, and maybe that's what we do.
That is what we.
that's what we do now, Richard.
Pretty much.
Yeah,
The department heads are in charge of their own, like the highway department.
Yep.
Mr. Kidman, it evaluates each person individually and decides what and then he brings it to Ryan and Ryan brings it.
Pretty much how it goes now.
Yeah, the department, that's set by the department heads.
So if you were to look at, say, a department with 10 people in it, you would find a range from 0 to 10 as far as the merits that they
Right.
got.
Yes.
Okay, well, that's good.
And
That's
I will
encouraging.
say that we did do away with arbitrary numbers. We have a numbering system under the eval. So that if you're in the range, you get to, because originally, the way it was set up years ago, when it first came out, the merit system in these evals, the old administration, there was like, the department head had the ability to set the specific percentage. Meaning if you fell between 20 and 30%, then the department head could say, well, you're only going to get 2% out of 4, or you're going to get 1% out of 4. But that means if somebody got a 22 and somebody got a 23, now you're in a range where you're split by 1 point on an evaluation scale, and department heads were giving people 2% versus 3%. And 1% merit on an annual salary is pretty significant swing. So what we did is we did it between you either get 0, half, or full. And we did that so that there was lumps of 10 points. So there wasn't that basically that real close splitting hairs decision.
Yeah.
But it basically you're in the needs improvement category, or you're in the meets expectation and excels, or, basically a straight
chart.
excel. Yeah. Yeah. But it is all department heads who know their people, who are evaluating their people.
They know them best.
Nobody else. The only reason why it comes up through me, it's just so I know, and I can talk with the department heads about any performance issues. But also, we also make a point that if you're not going to give anybody merit, that there's some document, because there's a lot of comment sections on there. And there's a documented reason that we discuss as to why, obviously if the performance is that low, there needs to be a written reason why, or some sort of documentation, so that person knows how to better themselves too. Because this is all supposed to be about productive and fostering
Production.
system. So.
Any other questions?
So when the departments come to you with their budgets, have they already determined, in order to determine what they're going to need for payroll, what they're going to do for merits?
No, traditionally what we've been doing is we've been budgeting the full percentage for each of the positions, because it doesn't get approved till March, but the evaluation period ends in January. So the evaluations are there, but because they need to basically they're preparing their budget 6 months in advance. They don't have that answer. Actually.
Okay. And have you seen, I know you haven't been in this position very long, have you seen a significant discrepancy between what was budgeted and what finally was actually awarded in terms of overall dollars?
No, and not significantly. I think more of what we've seen is the vacant positions, because we still budget for all of our positions. So there hasn't been a strong, I will say that we rarely see, there's some exceptional situation or exceptions to the situation or the rule where we do get some no merit increases, but I will say that that's a rare category to fall into the absolute 0, because that would mean that performance is probably poor enough that you probably aren't employed anymore. But that half merit range is usually where there's a lot of room for some coaching, some good leadership. And even at the lower level, I mean, don't get me wrong, that if somebody's still here and they're still working, then that means the department head sees some real potential, and maybe we can bring it back. But for the most part, most of the departments fall between that half to full merit on most of their employees.
Has been working pretty good. Nick? Anybody? You need a vote on that? Or a,
I mean, like, actually,
Or
a consensus is fine. You gotta vote on the budgets anyways, but as
Mhm.
long as the board is okay with that percentage and that's what we'll
I am.
move forward with, then
that's,
that's what we'll see. in
Move forward.
budgets. Everybody's all good with that?
okay.
Yep.
2024 budget proposal schedule.
Basically, that's just getting the consensus from the board. Like I said, most of the budget, department heads, actually all department heads are scheduled to meet with me before our next our next scheduled agenda meeting. So two things I want to run by. One, on the scheduled agenda meeting, do you want me to put budgets in there and roll with it in a regular meeting? Or do you want to set a separate work session just for budgets?
I think we should. do a
Separate work sessions is what we did last year.
Okay.
And it worked very well, I think,
Okay.
instead of cramming it all with our regular agenda.
Well, then we get sidetracked on something else.
That's right. I think it should be separate, yes.
With that said, can we look at the calendar a little bit just to see if we can get a date on the books? So. Next. So our next meeting is. Oh, would be September 11th. Oh, I'm sorry, 12th.
September 11th.
So we're gonna go do a work session though. But our last schedule for the department is the week 14th, right? Okay, so our meetings would be the 12th or the 26th. So the week of the 19th. Would you gentlemen be okay with scheduling a work session that week? That will
Which is
just be budgets on the week of the 19th, so we could do either Tuesday the 19th or any other day that week.
I'm fine with Tuesday the 19th.
Is Tuesday good with everybody?
19th. Yeah, we have CIP the 20th. At
Okay,
least that's what I have on mine. But
okay.
last time I have, but yeah,
19th good
19th
for you?
works.
Yeah, that's fine.
Richard, 19th?
Yeah.
Can you
You'll
would be
have
the
the final
20th.
budget ready by then, right?
What? What'd you say?
That you'll have the final budget ready by then.
Yes, by the 19th, yes, yep. Yeah. You guys will have that beforehand.
6 o'clock.
You'll have your, yeah,
Yes.
you'll have, yeah, 6 o'clock on the 19th.
Backpack here in another week.
Yeah, I'll give you that binder that's
Oh,
about
yeah.
this big.
All the books.
It's that thick, yeah. But definitely having a separate evening for that is best.
Okay, I'm gonna try and, if you gentlemen are down for it, I'm gonna try and put the whole budget on there.
Oh, yeah.
Okay?
That'll
Don't
be a
discourage
lot.
me, Stacy, come on.
That'll be a lot.
It'll be a lot, but you know, we can always table what we don't get through if it
Right,
run into
right.
late, but my hope is that a lot of it's going to be non-discussion issues, meaning that I'm hoping to keep it
Yeah.
as
keep
tight
it
as
pretty-
possible
keep it
that
Pretty
that
simple.
we can go through a lot
Generally,
of
it's,
them.
we'd cover about 6.
Yeah.
5 or 6 and then table it to the next meeting. And if we could do them all in one, that'll be an aggressive meeting.
Last year, there was a discussion, I think it was last year, about joint meetings with the budget committee.
Yeah.
That
It never happened.
we were unable
It
to
never happened.
arrange.
Yeah, they were unable to, and we're really struggling right now, to be honest with you. The budget committee hasn't met yet. And we struggled to. Still haven't heard anything.
That's awful.
We've
So
struggled for a while with the budget committee.
This is the second year.
We're having some issues with the getting that moving off the blocks, so. The only thing I don't want to do is we'll do whatever we can on the other end. I didn't want to stall the board. That's what happened last year, is it was stalling the board's progress. So
Yes.
we just had to move on. But my plan is last year, what I did and the budget committee seemed to respond well. It all depends on what the makeup of the budget is, but because things were really held good, and my hope is to do the same this year. As far as the numbers and the increases were pretty standard, with standard explanations. Not a lot of huge proposals, and those special proposals were very limited. that I went to the budget committee and presented with the Board of Selectmen rep when Ruben was there. And I went through the whole budget myself without the department heads. After the board had already met with the department heads and myself, and it went smooth. They improved the whole budget in one meeting, so. Yep. I mean, I know I may not be able to do it every year, but I'm gonna try.
Okay,
So if you guys are all set, we'll go ahead with the September 19th work session. To do as much of the budget, we'll just say that, as much as the budget as we can. And I'll put it on the agenda and we'll work through it. And then if we get to a point where the clock is winding down and we run out of candy, we'll call it and schedule another night. We'll do
Reset the whole-
real stats,
Back
just
to bowl.
reset.
if we can get it done, great. Okay,
That's all I got.
number 3, 2008 Dodge Caravan.
Yes, if you see, there's a memo that came in from the Public Works Department. I asked to get it on the agenda because obviously it was something that needed to be addressed with losing the vehicle. So there's a memo here in front of you. The Public Works Director. He's gonna come up and join me right now, because
Come on up, Scott.
you guys didn't think I was gonna handle that on my own, did you? School setting like that? Wait till you have the pew seating,
Wait to have what?
pew seating with an aisle in the middle.
Let's not get crazy.
Good, how are you?
Okay. So,
Courtney, these are Paul's.
And I'm mine.
All those wrappers are gonna be in the dryer.
Yes,
yeah.
this is all on him. Yeah.
Oh, so anyways, I put together a memo, the van that the town had for the custodian has been condemned by the town mechanic. It's not worthy of repair, so with that in mind, the custodian actually indicated that she was gonna be looking to get rid of her vehicle because she had already bought a new vehicle. So I went ahead and said, well, how much do you want for your vehicle? Since you're familiar with it. And so she put together talked to her husband and basically offered it up to the town mechanics, given his blessing that he thinks it's a good opportunity for us to continue to do that. So my intention initially, when I had looked at this, as far as replacement of the vehicle, I actually looked at trying to think about replacing it with a little bit newer vehicle to be able to get longevity. But looking at it more and more, the vehicle is just stays right here in town, goes from building to building. So the idea would be that, and I've talked with the town administrator about it, Courtney and I've talked about it a little bit, really need just a reliable vehicle, even if it's aged or has high mileage. And as long as it's reliable and can get around to these buildings and be able to carry the supplies that are needed, you know, the mop buckets and the chemicals and that kind of thing, and be able to work out of it adequately that way. If in fact we were, had SUV cruisers or something like that, and they were, trading their cars regularly and that type of thing there, then normally I'd be asking for something like that as a hand-me-down that wasn't, as long as it was in good shape, to continue to run it for a few years and then sideline it and grab something else. But that's not how the fleet's managed that way right now. So I put this before the board for consideration. There is funds.
You're
in that account.
recommending this one for
Yeah.
$2,500.
Yeah, and I wanted to be fully, transparent with the situation as well. It is an employee's personal vehicle that we've been purchasing. So, but I think it's fair. I did a comparison on Blue Book that I provided. So I think that it's more than fair that way. So it's in far better condition.
I see no problem with this whatsoever.
It's apples to apples.
Yeah.
I mean, she's already driving one just like it. She's comfortable.
Exactly.
Just a different color.
House is everything, yeah.
Yeah.
And at $2,500, if it only lasts us 2 years, we still got our money's worth.
Yeah,
That's
right.
exactly.
Exactly. That-
You
I mean,
you
you're
can't buy much for $2,500.
not gonna find anything else for that,
No.
so, not if it's in
No.
decent shape.
Doesn't have any ladder trucks by chance.
Sorry.
Try them.
It was a valiant effort.
Worth a shot, though.
Yeah,
That was,
yeah.
that was a valiant effort.
All right.
I'll make a motion that we accept the proposal from the town administrator, from the Public Works Director to purchase the, is it a 2008 Caravan?
Yeah,
2008,
Grand Caravan.
2008 Grand Caravan for the sum of $2,500.
Do we have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye,
Thank you.
definitely.
Thank you, guys.
And while you're here,
You get a step for the rest.
yeah,
of the
stay,
team, too.
stay right here for the sidewalk project closeout.
So I just want to give you to try to close this out. The work has been completed on the sidewalks down there. They have been the expansion joints have been sealed and the sidewalks have been sealed as well with the salt sealer relative to protecting the concrete from the salt and such there. So that everything's been done. This is a list of the expenses that occurred for that. You'll notice that in all actuality, you had awarded the bid to Tri-State for a set amount, and they actually came in as far as the sidewalk portion of it, came in under budget
Less.
based upon working with us as far as we squared some things up and changed some things there. So the square or cubic yardage as far as concrete was, it was less in doing that. So I think that worked out. We did have some additional curbing, which had to be purchased because of it being damaged there in the jog out area in front of the bandstand. So that was there. So we did have erosion control that was in this as well. And also had, when we set the shoe of the resetting of the curbing, we had that expense from the concrete and then the hot top to go in front of it. So this basically will help clean up the account. We made an initial award for it. It does exceed what the initial amount was that had been approved by the board. I think I put it in here as well. So the initial award by the board was for $95,000.
Right.
There is a cost increase, which basically goes back to the curbing cost more so than anything else, which is overall gels out to be $4,400 and $44,0281. So I just figured it would be better for the trustees, as long as you're okay with the overage, is to just clean that up as far as an emotion.
Yes.
Relative to that, or reference this, so that it makes it easier for the trustees to understand that these bills that are being paid all come out of the CRF for the sidewalks. And there's funds in the account to cover it.
Come out of the CRF balance.
So would I make a motion that we take $4,402.81 out of the CRF fund you said?
Yeah, I would, I don't,
Sidewalks.
I would just.
Just, I know, just that you want to sidewalk capital improvement fund?
Yeah, you can do it that way. The previous motion was for $95,000.
Right.
Yeah, you
Right.
just do the whole.
You want me to do the whole
Do the
thing?
whole thing.
If you, do you see the, on my page two?
$99,402, yeah.
If you go to page two,
Two.
I kind of put together a little bit of I think that language will.
Okay.
Will probably take care of it and just reference this memo and.
Was it recommendation?
Second one.
Yeah.
Work.
I make a motion that we authorize the total cost of the job, $99,402.81 to come from the sidewalk CRF capital improvement fund with a balance of $102,000 in it right now.
Yep.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Sorry, I thought we were doing the difference. My bad.
That sidewalk looks awesome down there.
Came out really
does.
good.
Heard nothing
Remember
but
the
great
color
things
struggle?
about it.
The color struggle.
A lot of people really have impressed with that.
Yeah, and to be honest with you,
Came out
if you
so
didn't get
good.
down there and dig at it, you wouldn't know it wasn't bricks.
Nope, nope, they came out.
There's no stop sign on the ramp.
Some of it is, Scott, didn't some of it add, because we had that thing on the right side of the bandstand we had to change when I was down, did we have to change something on the right side of the bandstand too?
Yeah,
Yeah.
we took out those big areas next to, on each
Yeah.
side of the bandstand.
Ran over.
In my,
That was a good idea.
yeah, I think it was a good idea, and I think it's, once again, you don't get that, imagine with this
Slope.
rain.
Right.
And having that, all that being concrete, I mean,
Yeah.
potentially we could have had issues down there.
Issues, slipping and
So with the water. sheeting
washing
up,
out.
At least now with all, the
It's
grass
nice.
came in great and, so it all.
Everybody that I've talked to have all said it looks fabulous.
Yeah.
It's good down there.
Absolutely.
That's good. And then, of course, the next thing that we'll look towards as we
Winter maintenance.
towards, well, we'll go to, yeah, on winter maintenance. We'll be looking at the rest of the parking lot as far as resurfacing.
Yep.
This fall, if in fact everything's able to come together, so. All right.
So on
So
the,
you-
can I ask you while we're talking about the resurfacing on that? What if it doesn't come together on the other end? Is there a different plan? To basically line that off at the town property and
Yeah, that would be my intention. So right now on the, so
Have to.
towards the private area property, there's a butts the town bay parking lot area, which is, in front of the insurance agency and then the condominium association there as well. So those are the only majority property butters right now that haven't been in agreement with partnering with the town to have that all paved. The folks at the shops in the bay
Mhm.
and the diner and the corner store, or I guess it's now called the market, something in the corner.
Mhm.
I saw the sign today and.
They're all in agreement.
But anyways, that's all owned, and those owners have all issued letters of agreement
Mhm.
to enter into having that all paved. So basically from the store up there, all the way down through would do, and then we would take the property line and then pave straight down through there to do that. So that would leave.
You're thinking of actually going around.
That's spot on.
Is they know.
Yeah, the town attorney was pretty clear to us.
Yeah.
Not to be venturing into those private properties with any town funds.
Yeah.
So we would have to draw the line there.
And they didn't like wasn't the offer for pavement?
They feel that the parking, that lot, even though they have exclusive right to park there. And it is deeded as their property, they feel it is open to the public.
Mhm.
And the public has use of it, so that it should be maintained by the town. Am I saying, I think that's been the
Is that right?
That's
conversation.
pretty close.
Yeah,
It's my understanding.
which spot?
And it's wrong.
Pavilion. And then in front of the
It's
insurance.
from the insurance.
Oh, the
They have
insurance.
designated
On
park
the opposite side?
on the water
On
side.
the water side.
On the water side.
So that's.
The pavilion's on the opposite
The
side.
insurance company right there in the little shop. Yeah.
Right.
And then,
Yeah, you know,
You got insurance company
yeah,
there. And you've got the large building here.
Yeah.
Talking about the parking spaces here and here.
and then there's the ones across the street from the
All the way
pavilion,
halfway, that-
the pavilion too.
These
The ones across the street, right? Are all owned by the.
but these here,
pavilion.
you
Ones that
can't.
face
come
ship.
on
Yeah, towards the granite.
Yeah.
No, 'cause that's all private.
That's all private.
That's all
parking,
town.
right, that they don't want to pay.
Ownership as far as
Right.
deeds.
They're not in agreement.
Yeah.
That's where you would go around.
It's gonna look.
They have
funny.
use of those parking spaces.
They know.
Shared.
No, it's
being
one of those
foolish.
things that the town, the taxpayers funded it through the warrant article. I don't want, that's why I asked the question.
Mhm.
Because I'd rather be prepared and have the board supporting that.
Yeah,
That if we can't come to an agreement, that we don't let this drag out all the way through to next year, because we could lose the funding
Right.
that we don't have.
Right.
No,
I mean, that
no,
we have,
it's,
already have, that we just move forward and do
well, that
it.
section right there that Paul just drew up, that's all private parking anyway. You can't just park there.
It is private.
It's private.
that's right.
It's not town parking. We don't.
No, it even has signs
Yeah, it's
on
right.
it.
They say reserved on the space.
No, there's sign parking for specific building only.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it says it, and then
Then how are
it
they
even
telling
say
us
what
that it's
unit.
used for public use? That doesn't really, if it's posted, you can't park there and nobody parks there, how is it public use?
I don't know if they're trying to argue that when the business is closed, it's part of the public, but the signs are still up.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know where it's gonna end. I mean, I know that they're still talking about it. It's just the email correspondence
Sell
is up
us
to
the
this
deed to the
point.
parking lot for $1 and we'll pay.
It's silly.
Yeah.
I can't, believe you've been
Really
down there
too
many
bad.
times explaining this.
It is too bad because it's gonna leave that one spot and
Yep.
it's an eyesore.
There's some other issue. I mean, there's a septic system
Yep.
underneath there.
I mean, that one section, Scott, do you have any idea what what the tonnage there would be for
I didn't bring the
I
amount.
have it all calculated.
just a rough off the cuff?
Wasn't
What
it
is
like
it,
27?
20 ton?
Yeah, but wasn't it like the dollar amount? Wasn't it like $2,700 or something?
No, it was more than that.
Oh, it's more than that.
Yeah, but what is it, 20, 30 ton?
Yeah.
Break that.
Yeah,
It's not that much.
yeah, it's not much, but that area needed to get milled out where that's
Right,
really
right.
bad there. And then had to pave that over. You know, I just.
Yeah, but you're gonna have to mill a joint there anyway to tie it.
Right.
It's not gonna make.
It's not gonna be pretty over there.
It's not gonna look good at all, and they should realize that. And they also know that they have two septic systems there.
Right.
Is that the tanks that are there, I believe are most,
Now, the holding tanks appear to be in the, well, some of the field,
I know.
which we'd not, once again, I don't have plans for that. At least, I haven't done a lot of digging upstairs, but about that, I'd have to probably get a hold of Ken and see what he knows about it, but that's a whole nother animal that it's underneath the town's, so on the portion of the town's ownership of the parking lot. So that's an issue.
What's the town's machine method per ton price right now?
For machine laid, we're, I think 84 a ton. Yeah, 84.20 or something sticks in my head, but.
Okay.
So it's just so you're aware of that, that's still.
Thank you.
That's still happening there, and I haven't gone back just because we've been so busy doing other stuff, and I'm trying to get the town roads
thank you.
buttoned up that
I
way.
mean, so even if it was 50 ton, it would only be $4,200.
Yeah,
And I don't think that's 50 ton.
yeah, I think the cost for doing the parking lot. With the milling of it out, it came out a little bit more.
Yeah.
For that little spot or for
Yes.
the whole?
No, it
No,
ended up
it was more
doing
than
that one section there that's in that. Oh, you see it basically from the pavilion back out to where the town's property is there. It's really in bad shape. That's so. On that side of it, but I should have brought the folder with me, but I do have the numbers and glad to
Maybe next time,
connect with you on it.
if you could bring it with you.
Well, that's I sprung that on you. That was not part of the original discussion.
Yeah,
We can go right into winter maintenance.
so, on the winter maintenance side of things, the two private roads that were plowed under the agreement that was set up, as you know, I had recommended that not to plow any of them. Then folks came back in, asked the board for those two roads, which was Haslet and Dan Kelly. And so the agreement was that we would do it, bill them. If anybody did not pay by July 1st, then board would decision.
Yeah, we sent
So
them,
they-
sent them a letter that if they
Yeah.
don't pay by September 1, that their plowing would be discontinued.
Right.
Two haven't paid,
Two have not paid, one from each of the roads. So both roads.
So
are-
both roads fell within, so we're not gonna maintain the roads this year, right?
Yeah,
If
well,
they don't-
it requires a letter from the board now because
Mhm.
we've sent letters and we've gotten payment from a few of the people on each road, but we have not got 100% payment. So
Right.
it said in the next one that the letter would come from the board basically saying that if you don't pay, then by
It's
September
discontinued.
1, then nobody will receive the service.
So do you need a consensus from us or do we do a?
Yeah, I mean, that's what the motion was. So
Yeah.
as long as we're still good to move forward with that.
still move forward.
That was the deal.
That was the deal.
They came here and talked and
Can't believe that.
That's
it's
right.
August.
Move two of them,
some of
one
them,
on each road.
yeah.
One is emphatically already said that he's not paying, didn't want the maintenance anyways. So the problem is with Dan Kelly is, especially with Dan Kelly, is there's a lot of people that benefited and they were at this hearing. They're
Yes,
not on Dan Kelly. They're
No.
not getting billed.
they kind of tricked us.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was that's
Is it-
what I got.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch because the actual, when Becky sent the spreadsheet up as to who actually got billed, there's only like 3 property owners that are bearing. the
Three
brunt.
property owners at the beginning there that took the whole.
Took the
brunt.
brunt of the whole thing.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And some of them don't have, correct me if I'm wrong, I think one of them was a big piece of property, doesn't know a house on it.
No,
It's just land.
just land.
So they're not gonna.
No.
So
Okay.
that's,
Just move forward.
No, I didn't.
Yep.
We put it forward and it didn't work. That's all.
Made a good shot attempt at it.
Less work for you, I suppose. No?
It's
One less
fine.
road.
I mean, you know, being able to not have to do those two, I mean, we already picked up another 3 subdivision roads that
Yeah.
taken over his town. So,
Lose 2, gain 5.
what's that?
Lose 2, gain 5.
Right, that's right.
Okay.
Yeah, that's how that shuffle is going. So.
Anything else?
No. They're good to go.
Good to go.
Thank you both.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you very much.
Hungry. You will see that, as she's able to, want Courtney to, you know, she and I are trying to share as much information between each other. Because that's the plan here as far as in the Public Works implementation plan. You'll notice that I try to make sure that, you know, she is involved and just so you know, behind the scenes. As far as decision making and stuff like that, we're trying to do a lot of collaborating. We do need to kind of be in our space together and I've kind of.
Don't be fooled. We may not see each
Yeah,
other
we don't-
all week, but
We
we
didn't
do
talk
dress
about the
alike.
colored shirt.
So don't be.
I was
fooled.
wondering
Say,
whether that's coordinated.
coordinated here.
Both just got out of Best Buy.
we know
and
she's
came here.
involved. We saw her on TV.
That's right. That's right.
So just to, you know, kind of let you folks know that, you know, we're trying to work that strategy as much as we can that way. And so forward here as far as the whole Public Works implementation. I don't want you to think that that's gone just because we've had the town washout here that's gone away, but we're still trying to do that and do our best to try to stay in communication with each other. So
Fantastic.
And
It's
FEMA.
good. Working out well.
FEMA.
yeah, FEMA.
Everybody loves me.
That's
Yeah.
right. We're all involved. We're all sharing in the fun.
I'll share the love on that.
All right.
See you tomorrow.
I won't.
Sign some more papers.
Thank you both.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night, you guys.
Good night.
See ya. Thank you. Take care. Selectmen reports. Mr. Shea.
We're getting close to budget season, so I'm really looking forward to that. And our hazardous waste efforts continue. I think there is another one in Wolfboro this coming weekend. And that all seems to be going very well, and I'm glad that that stuff is going where it should go and not where it might go otherwise.
Okay, thank you.
All in Old Home Week was awesome. Everybody who participated did a great job. All the members on the committee did unbelievable. I thought it came together really, really well. Really well.
Good. Good. It was a good turnout. A lot of people.
Yeah, really good turnout.
We had our first CIP meeting last week and we have another one scheduled for the 20th. Starting on that.
Good. Good.
The Conservation Commission kind of gets canceled quite, but, and that being said, the ones that they do have are kind of hard for me to get to because they're in the middle of the day. So it kind of conflicts with work, but, trying to make it there, but most of the ones, like I said, a lot of them get canceled because they don't show up or whatnot, but I think they're working on some things that look like they're starting to get some pieces of puzzles put together that they've been working on, so. As far as reading the emails and whatnot that we've been getting. I'll get to one that comes.
Yeah, I had
Excellent.
I had a brief meeting with Gene before their last, one of their meetings on the way out. We chatted about budget because you will see a warrant article coming from conservation that I told them I'd help with town council in writing. Then they want to be able to utilize some funds if they do some sort of timber cutting.
Yeah.
On some conservation land or whatnot. So I'm gonna work with, it's a unique wording. Because it's like a revolving account, but not quite like I see it, you know. So anyways, I want to get the wording from DRA and thing, but I did talk to him about working on that in the budget and adding some a line to their budget too for legal services in case they need. Because there's been some unique situations where they become more of a butter.
They have.
Separate from that.
Yes.
So we've just so just so you know, I've been in contact with him on that from the budget side of things.
Yeah.
You guys will see some
And
stuff.
like I said, I know they meet a lot during the day, but I do have a full-time job. as
Yeah.
well that I have to attend.
All I have is that we didn't have any meeting that was early in the month. I have already mentioned that for the ZBA. I have to say, like Nick said, I think there was the Old Home Week was a success, went well. I think the ski show was very good. That's all I got.
Right.
Okay, town administrator reports.
Right. So a few things, a lot of them are just sort of informational. First one is, I did include that letter. I know, on our next meeting, there's a public hearing already scheduled for the acceptance of the ARPA funds. And I just wanted to elaborate a little bit more on that in case there's more questions before the public hearing. This is the letter that this did not go out yet. This is a draft. So the ARPA funds that we were talking about are $20,000 that is being divided up, or I should say the 20,000 is our portion of ARPA funds that the county delegation had at the county level. They had federal ARPA funds and they had an excess of it. And they made the decision at a meeting to disperse that equally amongst the towns within the county. So 20,000 is our portion of that. That's where that money's coming from. I knew there was a few questions from the public, I think.
Yes.
That were, where exactly is that money coming? That was not money that was originally designated to us. It was designated to the county for them to use at county level programs. But because they had some excess, they thought it was right to disperse that down to the communities within the county. So they could do what they see fit with it. The only thing that we had to do once we vote to accept the money is that they wanted some sort of either memo or letter as to what the town might intend on using the funds for. There is no stipulations of what we use it for. And this is just one idea. If the board has a different idea, they want to write it up or whatnot, but basically we just wrote it up is that that it would be used to funds to increase benefits for hiring and retention of town employees. Because basically that means that 20,000 could be utilized to offset anything to do with benefit increases or wage increases, COLAs to the 10%, anything like that. Unless you have some other intention for that.
No.
And we still have all of our ARPA money.
Right.
This would just be that 20 grand. Not because we still have I think 280,000. So in our ARPA funds, I haven't touched any of that, even though we have talked about some projects that if they ran over, that we would utilize it, but we've been fortunate that we haven't run any projects over.
I think some of the questions that people have had on this also were kind of like when the town accepts this kind of money, ARPA funds and monies, different sums of money that come in, what kind of strings are attached?
So, yeah, so with this, there was absolutely no, and this is, like they said, the only thing they ask for accounting purposes for auditing is that we give some sort of indication what we might use the money for. I mean, it could be as broad as one, like any kind of benefits or retention, hiring for employee stuff, or you could just simply say for town infrastructure.
I think what Paul's saying is we're not on the hook for this down the road.
That's what I'm getting at. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. What I'm saying is we're not on the hook for it. And also, there are some people of the mentality in town, and I've heard it before, when we accept federal funds or funds that have come from the feds, they're saying, well, that's not free money. Obviously, it's not free money. But also, this is money that's already been allocated. So if we don't take it, it's just going to go to another community to spend. It's not like it's going to go back to offset the tax rate or anything like that. You know,
Either spend it or lose it.
Yeah. Because it's
Take it,
already
lose
been
This is the
spent.
highest power saying this is what we're gonna do, divided amongst the people, and that's.
Yeah. Okay.
That's great government at work.
Ryan, when they said they divided among the county towns equally, does that mean that only you got 20 grand and New Durham got 20 grand and?
Well, not in Durham because they're Stratford.
Oh, I'm
but
sorry.
that's
Yeah,
right.
that's right there.
But yes, yeah.
What do you think of Belknap County?
For the break of it, yeah, it
Oh,
looked like they all, we
okay.
all got equal shares.
Okay.
In a lot of cases with these kind of funds, you are right, though, that it usually, the cuts are based off population.
Yeah.
Which,
but
you know,
this
in a
one
lot
is
of
not.
cases, that makes sense. But in this case, I believe it's just an even cut. With the excess funds that they had. Oh, all right. Moving on from that, next thing in there, you see, we did email it to you and I also included it in the packet. Just an update. We had a conversation about Parks and Recreation programs. I did follow up with the Parks and Rec director. She is on vacation this week. That's why she's not here. But she is going to be planning on and happy to be here with a presentation for the board on some ideas for new programs.
Okay.
At our next meeting, she will be on the scheduled agenda. This was included because this is the brochure for 2023 and all the programs that are being offered. We did have a specific discussion on the fact that there has been some concern about the lack of programs to benefit the youth and more geared towards adult programs. She had some information to share with me, but I you know, which we did during the conversation, but I asked her, I thought it would be much better, to let her know what we were looking to discuss and let her put together a presentation and some information for the board herself. So she will be on the next agenda.
All right.
Coming forward with that information.
Thank you.
Yep. After that, there is a letter in your book. I know there was some questions about first thing out of the gate with the new interim fire chief that was appointed, Deb Pendergast. She provided, I had a staff meeting on Tuesday with all the department heads, and she was present at the staff meeting or the department head meeting. And also she had put together a quick sort of written overview of what some key things just in the first week. I mean, a minimal exposure. But these were just some topics that she had touched on and she was going. And we are scheduled to meet soon on the fire department budget moving forward.
Good.
And we'll have some more conversations and information. I did also and along with that, speak to the consulting company, and that draft is on its way.
Oh, good.
And the survey questions for the in-house survey has been compiled. That is closed out now. They had pretty good participation with that from the current fire department staff. So that information, I just wanted you to know I had a recent update from them, and they're moving forward quickly with that.
Good.
So it's
So
going.
we'll be hearing from them shortly.
Yes, shortly, probably within the next few weeks.
Good.
And then after that, there is a memo on your desk from planning that came in. We're in a situation with the planning department or where they have the town planner, that the town engineer and consulting services contract is expired. So they're out of contract with Ty and Bond and KV Partners. So basically, they are gonna go out for RFP for new bids, but in the interim, there is a contract renewal, or not renewal, but extension here from Ty and Bond attached to the memo. So if the board has no objection, since they're out of contract, the fees and everything else, I believe everything is still remaining the same. It's just extending until they can make a decision on a new award for that contract. If the board's okay with it, if you're willing to make a motion to agree to sign the extension, I can sign on behalf of the board.
Going back out to bid, is that what you?
It is, yeah.
That's what planning.
At the planning board meeting I was at, it is going out to bid. This was a problem when we were in there.
Are we happy with the?
Is there a reason we're not gonna continue?
Yeah, but
As far as
Yeah, okay.
yeah, as far as I know, they are. I just think they're going out to,
Just because the contract's up and you.
yeah.
Just the
contracts up and they
idea,
wanna
just
see what- yeah.
It's a due diligence.
test the waters. Okay.
I believe the impression I got is the current companies are intending on putting in contracts as well, putting in for the RFP as well.
Okay. Okay. All right, do we have a motion?
The date for this, the starts new contract January. Okay, so it would end, their contract ends January of 2024, correct? Or it goes,
Yeah.
yeah, so we're just extending it out to
Extend it.
January of 2024, right?
Yes.
I make a motion that we extend the contract with Ty and Bond through January of 2024.
That the town administrator can sign on behalf? You guys
What?
are good with that?
Town administrator can sign.
That the town administrator can sign on the behalf of the board.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Yes.
Aye. Okay.
Thank you. And the last thing, Jen asked me to
Almost.
just ask the board your thoughts on she wants to start advertising the new voting location because we're going to school, high school. It's then not church this year.
And that's coming right up. ain't it?
Right, yeah, so her thought is that she was gonna put out their first notice with the first letter is going out. I think it's October.
Mhm.
Anyways, it's her first mailing and notice about voting, and she'll put that out, but
When is it? What's the date on the?
I don't think they said it yet.
They haven't said it.
So, yeah, I don't think, last I knew that we didn't have the exact date yet.
Okay.
But I think she was just looking at, any thoughts, particular thoughts you had about advertising. Or, basically, I mean, I told her unless there was any ideas out of the box, we would do our normal, newspaper.
Yeah.
Do internet, social media.
Yeah.
and
Same-
that out.
same as we
She's
can.
gonna do her mailings out of, what she can do for appropriate mailings out to the townspeople. And then usually we utilize the voting signs, those
Yep.
stand-up signs.
Yep.
Probably start putting some notices out on the doors. And maybe something in the, like library, post office, things like that. Just to start getting the word out.
Getting the word out.
Obviously, she wants to get it out as far and as fast as possible.
Look for any new
So,
establishment.
and as soon as we do get a date for that, obviously, we'll put that right out.
Yep.
But just the fact that voting location has changed, I think just generically is getting that out.
All right.
And I'll get Josh to put a big notice on the front page of the town website
Okay, good.
as an announcement.
Yeah, that's all the standard,
Yeah.
usual methods. They're fine.
Okay. All right, believe it or not, I'm all done.
Okay.
Andy.
Okay.
Every night. I think it's planned every night.
Say it. Okay, approval of the minutes. July 25th, 2023, public session.
Motion to approve the July 25th, 2023 public session minutes.
We have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, July 25th, 2023, non-public.
Are we opening? What are we opening?
Releasing one.
We're gonna release what one?
Just one.
There's only one.
Release one, okay. I make a motion that we release the July 25th, 2023 non-public session minutes.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Do we have any?
August 2nd, 2023, non-public session.
Release them?
At least one.
One.
I make a motion that we release the August 2nd, 2023 non-public session minutes.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. August 8th, 2023, public session.
I make a motion, we accept the August 8th, 2023 public session minutes.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. August 8th, 2023, non-public session.
I make a motion that we do not release the August 8th, 2023 non-public session minutes.
Second, All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Consent agenda approval.
I make a motion that we approve the consent agenda as read.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay,
Mr. Chairman, I apologize. Just to clarify, because part of the motion, that was my fault. I didn't catch it. Stacy reminded me. During the motion, we did make a motion on these non-public meetings to release or to seal.
Mhm.
But actually need one to approve the minutes because they haven't been approved.
So approve each one?
So that we can approve them and release them.
Oh, for the non-public ones?
Yeah.
Oh,
I
okay.
apologize.
You just want me to amend
did
them?
I skip over that?
No. It was just the wording in the.
Oh, okay.
I
I
just
didn't word
didn't
it
catch
right.
it when we were making the motion.
Okay.
Casey, what's the correct wording?
Motion to approve. Oh.
Motion to approve releasing all
Non-public.
non-public session minutes for July 25th, 2023. And
One, right?
yeah, July 25th,
Except for the August
2023
8th.
and August 2nd, 2023.
Yes, yes.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And seconded.
Sealed.
The last one was sealed.
But we still, for 8, if we can
Yep,
get a
August
motion
8th,
just
20.
to approve them.
August 8th, 2023 to also approve the minutes.
Second?
Better?
Second, but we're not releasing anything there, right?
Correct.
No,
Right.
no, we're not.
Better?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Sorry,
Thank
that
you,
was my
gentlemen.
fault.
No, I apologize. That was I didn't catch that.
I didn't either.
Stacy's keeping me on my
Huh?
toes.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. I thought we were doing something same. Okay, there's no appointments. There's nobody here publicly to speak. There is no non-public this evening.
No, nothing.
I'll entertain an adjournment.
Motion to adjourn.
Wow, that was.
Second.
He was waiting.
Favor?
Okay.
I
Aye.
guys didn't want to hang out any extra?